In this video, I've asked my friend Pascal Depuhl to join us to share his way of pricing, which is a combination, which is fine. We often talk about there's no one correct way to price your photography. And well, Pascal, you're the poster child on that front. You decided to combine multiple styles, which seems to be best for you. So why don't you explain what you do when you're pricing your photography?
Well, thanks, Rosh. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to talk with your people here. And hello, everybody in pricing Photoland. One of the things that I've always seen as a problem, actually, too, is if I price per shot, my commercial clients will take as much time as they possibly can to get that shot done. So then, obviously, I sit there and I'm sitting there a whole day on one shot. Now, I've done that, and sometimes it's warranted to spend that much time on a shot, but in a commercial setting, very rarely, because you just can't bill enough unless you're doing a major ad campaign for that to make financial sense for your client. On the flip side of that, you have day rate. So where you go, I'm going to spend, you're going to spend $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever your number is, it doesn't matter. For 8 hours, 10 hours, again, whatever the time is, it doesn't matter. There, the flip side to the case, the client goes and says, oh, great, I have this guy for a day and I'm paying all this money, so let me cram as many shots in as I possibly can. Absolutely. And then you end up with 100 shots. So the extremes really are, you have the one shot on the one side where the client feels taken advantage of when you're pushing to get more shots, and on the other side, you have the 100 shots where the client is trying to take advantage to get as much done as they can for the price that they're spending.
Right.
So in order to balance that, and I haven't come up with a good way to make that work as a solid, just straight out pricing. Now let's forget about usage for a second. I'm talking just about the production cost of the shots, of the shoot, of the photo shoot, video shoot, whatever. I've yet to figure out how to do it right to get a per shot count or a day rate. And I haven't figured that out by themselves. Now, when you combine them, they're beautiful. Let me give you an example. I'm bidding on a job right now for a lady that sells garments and products. Let's just take the garment side. It's 104 shots. Let's just make it 100 just to be, easy math. If I were to do the day rate, I would say, hey, it's going to take me 3 days to shoot this with a stylist and everything, and here's my cost. She's going to show up with 150 shots and expect me to do it because she's paying me for that time. Now I'm losing my ability to say how much time I think I need to spend on a shot, how much time my stylist needs to do it right. If I do a per shot count, and she's up with 150 shots, she's going to take 5 days, 6 days, 10 days to shoot it because she's paying per shot. She wants to make sure that it gets done right.
Right.
If I bring them together, here's what I do. I look at these 100 shots. I call my stylist up. I say, okay, we're doing 100 of this kind of shot. How many shots can you style in a day for that? Or if I don't have a stylist, it's like, how many shots can I do of this?
Right.
And that's just something you need to know by experience. There's not and unfortunately, I can't give you a formula to go, oh, if it's this, it's 11 and a half or 27.
You have to know your clients. You have to know your workflow and your team's workflow, such as your stylist.
Right. So once you figure that out, I can look at the 100 shots and go, we can do somewhere between 30 and 40 shots a day on this specific product that she's doing. Okay, so that's about 3 days. So we're at the 3 days. So I now can make my estimate to the client and say, I'm going to shoot 100 shots. It's going to take us 3 days. I'm going to bill you for my stylist for 3 days, my stylist assistant 3 days, me 3 days, the whole production side. But on top of that, I'm going to bill you a per shot of those 100 shots. So that means my day rate I'm billing her is not the same money as if I were only billing a day rate.
Right, it'd be lower.
Because we're balancing this out. So now I have my day rate times 3, plus I'm saying I have 100 shots. Now, I don't know how many times it's happened where the client sits there and realizes, oh, I need the back of this shot, or this has a detail, or there's another colorway that I forgot, or we just got this in. And that's fine. I'm not trying to limit a client to say you cannot shoot more than 100 shots. And if we're shooting the 100 shots that she has, if it ends up being 110, I'm not going to sit there and go, well, you owe me an extra 30th of a day.
Right.
We're going to get it done in 3 days with a couple extra shots here and there. Or if it's 96 shots, I'm not going to go, well, I owe you 4 shots worth of time.
Right.
But for the 96, she would only pay 96 shot rate price piece. Or if it's 110, she'll pay 110. So now it balances out really nice, because based on my experience, I know how we can, like you said, for that client, with that crew, for this product, shoot the kind of shots that she needs in the time that I know it takes me to do.
Right.
So I don't have a client hovering over me going, oh my goodness, we're 3 shots behind. I need to get all this stuff done because I'm paying you per day. And yeah, she's paying me per day, but she also knows that I'm not going to, unless it goes over like major, like half a day over, or if we really go into another day, I'm not charging her extra time. I will charge her extra shots, because it is very, very, very easy for a client to understand. I told you 100, you bid on 100, I showed up with 110. Of course, I'm going to pay you.
Right.
That's worked out. I've done that for 25 years.
Oh,
this has worked out so beautifully. Because we do all have clients. Like I said, sometimes a client maybe it's not perfect planning. Maybe it's the first photo shoot that they've ever done. They just don't know. Right. And they don't realize that. And that's on to us to educate them. But they don't realize what exactly all comes into a photo shoot, or what it actually means to do that other colorway. And that is really another shot, because, yeah, I shot it in red, but if you want it shot in blue, it's another picture. It's not just, but it's the same product.
Right.
So we do obviously also have clients that say, hey, we have 80 shots and I'm going to try to get 120 out of you.
Right. Right.
And this works out really great for that, because I can say, listen, I'm sorry, but I told you 80 is going to take 3 days. You show up with 180, simple math, it's going to take 4 days. Plus, you're also going to spend the extra 40 per shot count on the images.
Has there ever been a time it's not worked for you? That there's just like that, 1% time, a situation that it was not the right answer? Or do you have situations that you use other types of pricing structures based on the type of photography?
Yeah, of course. I mean, nothing is hard and fast, right? So nothing is set in stone where it's like, I always, every single time, never ever do anything else but X, whatever X is.
Right.
I have clients that come to me and say, we have a day rate of this much money. We expect you to do that. And then it's a simple yes or no. Can I do it for that or not?
Right. Right.
So yeah, I've definitely shot things outside of this concept. Like I shoot for our local parks department here for Miami-Dade. They came to me and they said, actually, this is a beautiful example of this. They come to me and they say, okay, we have 3 parks that we want you to shoot. 10 shots of just the park in beauty. You can do that whenever you want, sunrise, vistas, beautiful shots. And 10 shots with people using the park. We, Miami-Dade Parks Department, are going to provide the people. We're going to take care of all that stuff. You just show up one day. We shoot all 3 parks in one day, so you know it's one day for just people. The other stuff, do whenever. You walk out your front door, you go, oh, it's a beautiful sunrise. Let me zip down to the park, get the picture. Fine. As long as they get 10 pictures, they're happy.
Right.
Perfect. So they come to me and say, flat fee, here's our day rate. This is how much we pay for park. This is how much we pay for the 20 pictures, 10 beauties, 10 people. You want it or not? Great job. It's fun. I like it. It works. Everything's perfect. Okay. Obviously, we're not shooting only 10 pictures per park. I shoot, hundreds of different shots. And then I have maybe, 60 or 70 images that I really like that I suggest to them and say, out of these 60, whatever beauty images or people images, you pick 10.
Right.
Great. They do that. They came back to me last year and said, out of the 60 images that you shot for us that we paid you for, you showed us, I forget what it was, 400 or 500 altogether that we picked the 60 from. We want the other images.
Oh, okay.
Well, And in my contract, it said an additional image is worth X dollars.
Right. Right.
So you buy 60 for the flat rate. If you want one more, it's X amount of dollars per image. They say we want all of them, and that rate's fine.
Right.
So in that specific instance, that's worked out beautifully. Where I had said day rate with one specific set of images, and all of a sudden here was this massive list of images that they wanted to have, and there wasn't extra money to sit there. If I would have just said day rate and whatever you want, I would have lost out on a really good amount of money.
Absolutely, and that's certainly why I'm a big proponent of per image for that reason alone. But you make a good point with the day rate element. You know, and in many ways, it's kind of like for those who are watching who do family photography or portraits. It's kind of like sitting fee plus the images you want afterwards. You know, making sure there's a base there to cover the expenses no matter what. But then, if you do a really good job, you have an opportunity to make more money.
But how do you deal with per image fee, and then you're not in control of your time anymore?
Generally, I'm in pretty good control of the time. I mean, my per image fee is not the same for everything. So some things are going to be a day, like you said, it could be many thousands of dollars per image, you know, versus so many, maybe hundreds of dollars per image if you need 10 images in that day. So a lot of it, just like we've talked about, is experience. Am I ever a little off? Absolutely. You know, there are certainly times, but I look at it as the overall. Like, for example, I also take the next step of saying, I'm the no risk photographer. You don't like one image there, you don't have to buy any of them. However, there's every time, and it's been 2 years now, but one time I spent a half day shooting, and you know what? They didn't want any. They ended up going back and hiring a different photographer. And whatever the reason was, it was a weird scenario. Weird scenarios happen. And I lost out on half a day. But the amount I make extra overall certainly wins the day. And so I just have to count that as my cost of doing business, that every year or two, something's not going to go the way I want it, or my timing is off, and I feel like, man, I probably spent an extra hour per image than I planned on based on, but you know, I'll look at it and say, I didn't ask good enough questions. Now, if they change the whole thing around, then I may pause, but that's been so rare. Again, just like not paying. So, but you know, there's nothing wrong with having that backup system or a foundation saying, look, just for me to show up, it's $500. Then we're going to start, you know, paying per image, because I like putting the value on the image versus time. So again, no right or wrong way. I think you have a nice combination there, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. I think it really does. It's really beneficial for photographers to hear that, you know, yeah, here's Rosh always talking per image pricing and, you know, maybe hourly for events, but that's not the only way by far.
Now, two things. I don't sit down and explain to my clients this concept. So I don't sit down and say, okay, you have to understand that I bill you by the time and I'll bill you per image. It's just 2 lines in my contract. One says assignment, and then, you know, 10 hours with the number, and then one says, you know, image fee or digital processing fee or whatever you want to call it, and then the number of images plus the time, the number per image.
Right.
Very rarely have I been asked by a client to say, why are there 2 fees?
Right.
But they do understand, once they go through it, they do understand, because at the end of the day, the client doesn't care if I'm paying my stylist $400 or $600, if I'm paying my stylist assistant $300 or $250. They're looking at that one bottom number.
That's right. Yeah.
Your photo shoot costs me X amount of dollars. Can I afford that or not? If I can't and I'm close, they'll come back and they go, how can we move this around to make it work? I need you to hit this number.
Right.
If they can, they're not sitting there going, well, you know, these $50 here, I have a problem shooting and paying them there, but over here they'd be fine.
Right.
You know, so it's, at the end of the day, there's only one number the client cares about in terms of the money of it, and that's the bottom line.
Right. Do you shoot any events?
No. The only time I shoot events is for established commercial photography clients.
Right.
That ask me to shoot events. Just like I don't shoot portraits, but I will shoot a corporate portrait of
So when you do an event for a corporate client, do you use hourly rates in that situation, or do you approach it differently?
It's baked into the whole estimate. It's not like, oh, we're doing events. It's
kind of like a per project scenario.
Yeah. I can count on one hand the number of events I've shot. Now on video, a different story.
Yeah, right.
If I shot 5 events over the last 5 years, that'd be a lot.
Okay, very good. Hey, bonus. You just mentioned video, and obviously you're certainly eyeball deep in video. What is your foundation standard rate when you deal with video? Because a lot of photographers are get asked.
It's a whole nother bowl of wax when you
Absolutely.
get to it, because just technically, when you're finished shooting with your photography, you're about 85-90% done with the job.
Right.
Now all you have to do is cull the images, do a little processing, some retouching. It may be a lot of work, but in the grand scheme of things, it is definitely the minority of work and time on the photo shoot when you're looking at from production all the way through completion.
Right.
On video, it's different. It's almost flipped. By the time you're done shooting video, now the fun starts, and you have soundtrack selection and data wrangling and editing and first suggestion out to the client, and then recut and grading and graphic. Right. So there's a whole nother massive part of work that happens after, and often or always, if I'm doing a video production is always more work than the shooting part of it.
Right. Maybe that's another video for us. That would be a good one for us to come back around on.
If I get hired on a crew, then it's a day rate.
Yeah. Right.
We're hiring you as a DP or as a first camera op. It's X amount of dollars for this much time. At the end of the day, you hand in your cards, you walk away. Fine.
Hey, so wrapping this up, if somebody is just now starting to think about, into the new year, or they're beginning their photography career, or maybe they're midway through, but they know they need to make price adjustments, what would be your recommendations when just taking a look at pricing for their work? What would be your recommendation be?
It's going to be different for the person that's just starting out than the person that's halfway through their career and trying to figure out to do a better pricing change. Here's why. Because when you're just starting out, you don't know how much time it takes you to shoot 10 watches or a hotel or 40 portraits or 100 products. You just don't know.
Right.
So you can't tell the client, at least not with any kind of confidence, it's going to take me 3 days. What if it takes you 6 and they have to be on set with you for 6 and they planned 3? Now you look like a fool. So it's a lot harder than that. Now, if you have the experience that it takes, go back over your last year or two of billing and just look at the numbers and say, client X, we shot 10 shots. It was products. It took me 4 hours. Client Y, we shot 20 products. They were more complicated products. It took me 3 days.
Right.
Then start looking at breakdowns. Don't get too much into the weeds. Oh, if it's a metallic gold watch that's not shiny but matte, just go a watch. A watch is going to take me X time. A paper product's going to take me Y time. Get like 3 or 4 basically ideas of what it costs you. And then make sure you talk with your crew. I don't want to tell my client, oh yeah, no problem, we can shoot 50 of those, and then turn to my stylist and she goes, no, those are so complicated because of XYZ, I really can do 30. So have that conversation with your crew before, or with your support people before, than trying to ramrod them into something.
Yeah. Good stuff, Pascal. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time, sharing. I do want to follow up with you on that video conversation, because I think that would be a great segment down the line.
No, absolutely. And the last thing I want to say about pricing is, that I think I'm learning now is incredibly important. Obviously, it has to cover your cost. Obviously, you have to make money. But at the end of the day, when you can get your client to walk away from a shoot and be just ecstatically thrilled about how they got treated by you, which includes the pricing, because that's often the last time we talk with them, you know, is demanding that check or asking for that payment. When they feel good about that and go, oh, we got so much more value than we expected, we're happy to pay this money, they will refer you and recommend you and look forward to working with you again, and not just have that bitter taste in your mouth afterwards.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much, Pascal.
Have a great day, Rush. Thanks so much.